Finals and 2 pieces of silverware. It's Donegal versus Derry in the Ulster football final at 4. And right now we're joining Matt Cooper and guests for live coverage of Roscommon and Mayo in the Connacht football final.
Here lads, what's the best club in Ireland? Club sandwich.
Ulster Bank GAA Force, because helping your club matters.
It's a provincial final double bill here on 3 as we bring you the Connacht and Ulster senior football deciders. First up here in Dr. Hyde Park, the locals put their title on the line against Mayo. And then at 4 in Clonus, Donegal and Derry aim to become the first team to take the Anglo-Celt Cup back to the Northwest since 1998. A very good afternoon and welcome to what we hope will be 2 very exciting football games today. And joining me in studio for these are 3 men who've won their fair share of provincial medals: Liam Hayes, David Brady and Peter Canavan. And Liam, today we have the defending champions at home, but they're a Division 4 team up against a Division 1 team. How much is that going to matter?
Well, you would think that it would give Mayo a major advantage, but in fact, Roscommon, under Fergal O'Donnell, really are about 2 years ahead in terms of building the team that O'Donnell wants on the field as opposed to James Moran. So they hold lots of advantages. They're the defending champions. They've had a very consistent season, producing really good performances, apart from the Division 4 league final against Longford, where they dropped that standard a little bit. But they're on home ground, and what have they got fear from this Mayo team? Mayo have been very inconsistent. So, everything really looks to Roscommon putting up a big performance here today.
It's somewhat typical Western weather, isn't it? Here it's very windy. We've got a lot of rain. How much is that going to impact on the game?
The warm, wild, wonderful West, man. I suppose don't be surprised if the studio comes a cropper at some stage with the wind. But coming in, I think someone named it Hurricane Enda, and it's like a hurricane out there because the wind is going to have a major factor today. Because we can see what happened with Roscommon when they played Leitrim. They dominated at the start. They got the momentum, a high ball into the full forward line. Mayo, on the other hand, they haven't got a big physical full forward line if they have the wind. Don't be surprised if they see the likes of Aidan O'Shea going in full forward and Ronan McGarty coming on sooner rather than later.
OK, let's have a look at the teams. And of course, Peter, last year we saw Roscommon shock Sligo in the final. How well have they done kicking on this year?
Well, it's a very settled team in that regard, Matt. And that Fergal O'Donnell knows these fellas very well. 6 of these boys won an All-Ireland minor medal in 2006, and he's brought a lot of them up through. So O'Donnell knows them very well and knows their best positions at this stage. In terms of positioning, I think from a forward point of view, that the forwards have scored 533 in the first 2 games in the championship so far, and they've been very impressive. But in particular, you've Sennan Kilbride and Donie Shine, and they'll be using them as the 2-man full forward line, and they'll be wanting to get a lot of early, long deliveries into them. And
let's go on to the Mayo team as well, which of course has been losing a number of big names apart from David over the last few years. What do you make of the lineup they have now?
Yeah, apart from David, it's an unsettled team. Liam was saying about Fergal O'Donnell being a year or 2 down the line, and you only have to look at the lineups that Mayo have produced for the championship this year. They're all over the place, and James Horn has taken his time to find out maybe what his best 15 are. In terms of his tactical approach today, the dilemma facing him is the positioning of Kevin McLaughlin. He's a natural defender, but he's positioned at wing half forward. Now, against Galway, in the first half, he played as a sweeper in front of the full back line. Didn't really work. In the second half, he reverted back to wing half forward, and Mayo went on to outscore Galway 1-8 to a point. So the dilemma facing Horn today is where is he going to play Kevin McLaughlin?
It's the first time that Mayo have put out the same team since James Horn started league or championship, same team 2 or 3 weeks in a row. So that's going to give them confidence. OK, well, let's have a look now at the matchups as well. And let's concentrate in particular on the midfield. Given all the fuss about him as a full forward, Liam, how surprised are you to see Aidan O'Shea out there in midfield?
But Aidan O'Shea, he's a fine young player. He's like a bit, he's one of those young lads who really at this stage of his career should be able to play anywhere. And I would say he's quite happy to play midfield because you know what, with all the publicity about him, he was very much a marked man in the full forward line, whereas now he can come out, play the ball, get on the ball, do his own thing. So I'd say it's like a breath of fresh air for him. But the two O'Sheas, as two brothers, I think it was always good to have two brothers in the middle of the field. I did it when I was managing Carla for a couple of years. I had Patrick and Thomas Walsh, and they never let me down. So, it's an added advantage to Mayo to have the lads there.
I think Mammy and Daddy O'Shea would be proud people today to see them playing.
Well, they will. Let's go forward and look at the other end of the pitch. And Peter, what about the ability of this Mayo full back line to deal with Donie Shine and the Roscommon full forward line?
They're going to be severely tested. I don't expect the Mayo full back line to line up as programmed there. And you'll see Keith Higgins switching over to pick up Devaney. Donie Shine and Shannon Kilbride are very strong in the air, so I'd expect Feeney and Conniff to be fit to pick up those two men.
OK, well, let's have a look now at some of the key players in action from both of these teams. And let's have a look first at one of the midfielders on the Roscommon team. Let's have a look at Michael Finneran. He's impressed you a lot from the final last year as well, David.
From the final, the last year and a half, he has grown as a player, and I suppose, and his contribution towards the Roscommon team. He's a big, big man, and I suppose, for me, his reach, his arms is nearly as long as his legs because he's a fantastic reach, but you cannot let him, Liam. You can't let guys like that jump on their own. There needs to be someone beside him and going up beside him, and not just trying to contest the ball. Every kick out that Roscommon have, Mayo need to be breaking it.
They do, and they'll have watched him against Leitrim and Carrick and Shannon because Micheál Finneran just set the tone for Roscommon that day. He claimed everything in the air. Now he had Senan O'Grady and Cathal Craig, winning all the loose ball and the dirty ball on the ground. But really, Finneran and Mannion really looked the perfect combination that day. Mannion doing a lot of work going forward, but Finneran staying a very stable midfield presence and winning absolutely everything that came near him.
And let's pick out a player now on the Mayo team as a key player. Andy Moran is your selection here, Peter. Why?
Well, he's probably one of the more experienced players in this Mayo team at the minute. And when the chips were down against London in the first round, it was Andy Moran who stood up to the plate and wasn't found wanting. So they're turning to him now. Probably in years gone by, he's been a victim of his own versatility, and that he's probably played in every other position apart from goalkeeper for this Mayo team. But he reminds me of Brian McGuigan in so many ways. Probably not blessed with blinding pace, but in terms of his use of possession, he's a very good head on him, and he always looks as if he's got time on the ball.
And I suppose the big thing, when Andy Moran gets the ball, the first thing he thinks of is someone else. He's not greedy, he's a team maker. He's nearly the second captain on the team. And when you have an inside forward line like Freeman and Doherty that's young and inexperienced, he gives them great experience. And you know what? He's a leader, and as Peter said, he was a great leader in London when they needed him in the last 10 seconds.
I don't necessarily agree with David on that. I mean, I think the clips show him letting the ball off very early, but anytime I see him, he's a tendency to solo the ball, and he's a very calm presence for the team, but he's quite slow on the ball, and if he solos the ball and goes on those long solo runs, he just gives the opposing defence time to get back and to get on their men.
OK, well, we'll have more analysis in a few moments. Of course, the most famous Mayo man of all, the Taoiseach Enda Kenny, may not be welcome here today and isn't coming, given the proximity to a certain hospital, but it's clear that others have come in their droves and have been welcomed with open arms. We'll be hearing from the two managers next here in Championship Live.
Experience more. Aircon, proud sponsor of the GAA Football Championship.
Hi, I'm Scott Campbell. Welcome to the weather with Budweiser Ice Cold. All this summer, the hotter the day, the less you pay, wherever you are in Ireland. Groovy. So, for example, if it's 16 degrees in Dublin, you'll get €1 off. But if it's 20 degrees in Limerick, you'll get your pint for free. All you need is this chap, the Index app. So check for daily updates. Go grab some Budweiser Ice Cold and some plank partners. Easy. The hotter the day, the less you pay.
He was the man who had it all, Ireland's very own Bernie Madoff, until his high society friends realised he'd been ripping them off. In this week's Sunday Independent, we reveal Breffney O'Brien's fall from grace, the victims caught up in his pyramid scams, what he told them, what he told the investigators, and what he told his wife. We go inside the mind of a con man, one of the untouchable white-collar criminals who brought this country to its knees. Deceit, delusion, denial, and betrayal. Only in the Sunday Independent.
minor trophy, will the seniors be It's been a good start to the day for Roscommon here in Dr. Hyde Park. They're the Connacht minor football champions. A goal by Enda Lannon was the decisive score in a 1-9 to 6-point victory. And there's John McManus, the captain, receiving the trophy. So congratulations to the Roscommon team, which have won the minor trophy. Will the seniors be able to retain their trophy later on? Well, it's competition time now. TV3 in association with Ulster Bank, official sponsors of the GAA Football Championship, is giving you the chance to win 2 tickets for the All-Ireland Senior Football quarter-final of your choice. To be with a chance to win this prize, text GAA to 57199 and answer the following question when it's returned. Which of the following teams was not in the senior football quarter-finals last year? Cork, Wicklow or Dublin? You must be over 18 to enter, and terms and conditions apply. Now, as you may have guessed from the noise here in the studio, we nearly had the roof taken off by the wind on a couple of occasions since we started the programme. It is very, very windy. It's going to affect the game, and we're getting very heavy showers of rain as well. So not the weather you would hope for in the middle of summer at all. Well, these teams are led by 2 managers who would have crossed paths many times as players. Kieran McSweeney has been talking to James Horan and Fergal O'Donnell.
Well, Fergal, 12 months ago there was probably no pressure on you going into the Connacht final, but as defending champions now, that has to bring a certain amount of pressure to bear.
Listen, obviously last year we went in under the radar, but today we're at home. It's a big crowd here. The minors are going well out there, so you know. But at the same time, I suppose the last time we played Mayo, you know, we came out the wrong side of it, and there was a big gap that time. And basically, what we're going to try and do today is bring down that gap and show that, you know, we're a better team than we showed in 09.
There's an air of expectancy among Roscommon supporters. Has it been difficult to keep the players away from that in the build-up to the game?
I know the lads are realistic. Like, we've been playing in the lower regions of the league. Mayo's been playing in the higher regions of the league. We've ambitions. You know, we're gone into Division 3, and you know, we always felt maybe we're unlucky to go down from Division 3. But we're going to really have to on top of our game. We're going to have to hit a different level, a level we haven't reached before, and hope maybe things don't go well for Mayo on the day.
Look, briefly, I'll have to ask you about the conditions out there. They're absolutely terrible, but I suppose the same for both sides.
Listen, it's unfortunate, especially for the town, the whole lot. You know, we were looking forward to having the game in Roscommon, and you know, it doesn't make for good football, and you know, but it's the same for both sides. But it is unfortunate. You know, maybe hopefully the breeze might down a bit, but there's no sign of it at the minute.
Well, James, conditions would seem to dictate it's not a day for pretty football. Are you gearing up for a dogfight out here at Dr. Hyde Park today?
Yeah, conditions aren't ideal, but a lot of wind and a lot of rain out there. But it's going to be the same for everyone out in the field. So there'll be mistakes today and a lot of spilled balls. So I suppose it's whoever wins the majority of that will have a big say at the end of the game. So look, we're setting ourselves up for a tough encounter.
How much confidence do you take from the way you dug out the victory against Galway the last day after what had happened in London?
Yeah, it was obviously good for us, and every victory that you get helps the team and helps develop confidence. So we did a lot of good things in that game. We obviously need to improve it and up it again for today if we're to have a chance against Roscommon. So we're looking forward to seeing what we can do in Connacht final day.
And coming into the lines then here in Dr. Hyde Park today, will that have any sort of effect, you feel?
Well, it'll definitely help Roscommon. I assume there's a big crowd out there already for the minor match, so they'll have a lot of support today. But look, we know what we have to do, and we know our job, and we're just going to set about doing that.
Liam, there are things that occasionally annoy you. We've discovered one of those things this year is goalkeepers going up to take 45s and frees. You're going to see a bit of it today, I suspect.
I see a lot of it today. I don't like goalkeepers taking frees at the best of times, but I don't like goalkeepers taking frees and missing them. You know, that puts me in bad form. It's just something that doesn't just add up in my book. I mean, you know, we see you know, Rob Hennelly here taking them for Mayo. He had a very bad day against Galway. He hit 2 out of 6. But the point is, every time a goalkeeper misses a free, he's got to run the whole way back to field and meet every one of his colleagues and guess what they're thinking about him. But in addition to that, it's going to screw up his head. He's supposed to be stopping the ball, not worrying about some free that he missed at the other end of the field.
Like, at the end of the day, his job is to stop the goals going in, not to take free kicks. It's like, in all fairness to Matt, it's like me saying to you, Matt, you sit there but don't ask the questions. You know, you'll say, why aren't I doing it? Because, and that's what the Mayo forwards are saying to themselves. You know, I'm a good free taker, you know, but at the end of the day, he's not dodgy on the ball, he's inexperienced. against. And you know what? He was on Take Me Out this year on TV3. I wouldn't let him outside the 14-yard box.
We've got to bring an end to this attack on the goalkeepers. This happens every week here.
There's only one Stephen Cluxton, you know, and everyone else is saying, "Oh, this is my job."
But what about the argument, though, that players out the pitch are not actually doing enough of kicking from the dead ball off the ground anymore? That they're doing it from hand, and the keeper has the experience.
That's why the goalkeepers are ending up kicking 50s, because most players are now hitting it out of their hands. And if the goalkeeper is the best player to hit a 45 on the team, then why should he not be hitting it? If Stephen Cluxton can kick 9 out of 10 45s, and somebody else in the team kicks 5 out of 5, you wouldn't let the other fella kick them.
No, Stephen Cluxton is a rare, he's a rare opportunity. And the thing is, Matt, a goalkeeper's kicking off the ground with a tee. He comes out and takes free kicks from 50, 55 yards out off the ground. There's a big difference. I
think the Mayo players would be more worried that Hennelly is dropping the ball and footering and fumbling on his own square rather than missing 45s, and his priority has got to be his kick-outs and his shot stopping. And if he does kick over the odd 45, then that's a bonus.
I don't even think there is one Stephen Cluxton, so I will even go further with the two lads.
He's definitely disagreeing with us now.
All right, let's get predictions for today's game. What do you expect, Peter?
I do like the style that Roscommon play. I do believe they're coming into today's game with a chip on their shoulder, and that they feel that the Connacht title they won last year was somewhat undervalued by the fact that they didn't beat Mayo or they didn't beat Galway. I would be concerned that the Mayo bench is much stronger than Roscommon, but considering the conditions, it's very wet, windy, it's a leveller. I'll be thinking Roscommon. There's a big game in Roscommon, and I can see them winning by a point or two.
Division 1 Mayo struggled to beat London. Will they struggle today?
Division 1 Mayo struggled to beat London. You know what? That could be the greatest learning experience they got. They bet Cork in the National League. They're All-Ireland champions. They drew it down. This team is on, you know, and their confidence is the one thing that they're lacking. And I'm being honest today, and I think actually these guys will win it. And, you know, Division 4 is a big difference. There was an expectation when they played Longford. Roscommon didn't deliver. There's expectation today.
Liam, your prediction?
But at the risk of getting a dig from my left here, I mean, I think this is one of those days when you wonder why people have had so much respect for Mayo football, because, you know, they haven't delivered outside their own province in 50 or 60 years. But there's too much respect for Mayo, in my view. This is a day when Roscommon don't need to have that respect. And if they go out and dominate the game from the very start, as they did in Carrick and Shannon, they can win by 4 or 5 points and look very good doing so.
He's going to dig you during the ad break.
Later on.
We're minutes away from the Connacht Senior Football Final now, and it's been quite a while since these teams met so evenly matched. It may even feel like something of a time warp.
SuperValu, proud sponsors, real supporters of the GAA Football All-Ireland Championship.
When you pick up the Star, you're getting an Irish view on things from journalists who are true sports fans just like you. Channeling the spirit of Gaelic games, we've Davy Fitz and Martin McHugh. And if horses set your pulse racing, read Europe's top tipster, Kieran O'Connell. While Eddie Hobbs makes the most of your money, Michael O'Toole is at the front line of Irish crime. And on Celeb Watch, Georgia Salpa reveals all. On every page, in every way, it's part of what we are. We're the Star, and we're better because we're Irish.
Set your summer free with Vodafone. Get free internet and your usual free Vodafone calls and texts with every €20 top-up. And now you can roam for free. With free internet on your phone across Europe all summer. Vodafone. Power to you.
What do you go for on holiday? Fresh air? Or a place you can really relax? On the biggest ferry on the Irish Sea, where everything is just to your taste. Go where you like, when you bring your own car.
Out our little
Hames Drive. than Scott.
The championships are really hotting up now, and we're back again next Saturday and Sunday with more exclusive live action. On Saturday night, we'll be on air with the pick of the Round 4 football qualifiers. The repeat of last year's All-Ireland final, Down versus Cork, is on 3 from 6:30. And then on Sunday, we've got the first of this year's All-Ireland Senior Hurling quarterfinals as the hurlers of Dublin and Limerick meet in Thurles. And if you want all the team news ahead of those games, don't forget to tune in to the GAA show on Friday at 6:30 on 3E, with a repeat later here on 3. Well, we've another chance for you to enter our competition now. TV3, in association with Ulster Bank, official sponsors of the GAA Football Championship, is giving you the chance to win 2 tickets for the All-Ireland Senior Football quarter-final of your choice. To be given a chance to win this prize, text GAA to 57199 and answer the following question when it's returned. Which of the following teams was not in the senior football quarter-finals last year? Cork, Wicklow or Dublin? You must be over 18 to enter, and terms and conditions apply. So will it be Roscommon or Mayo who take the Western Crown? We'll find out with our commentators, Paul Early and Mike Finnerty.
Thanks, Matt. Good afternoon, everybody, and you're very welcome to Hyde Park in Roscommon. Not quite what everybody was hoping for in terms of a backdrop, in terms of weather to the biggest day of the year here. But the scene set for the national anthem, Aron Naveen. It'll be sung this afternoon by Gordon O'Connor, a member of the St. Dominic's Club in Knockcrockery, a member of the St. Dominic's Ballad Group this year. St. Dominic's GAA Club. Let's take a look at how the teams line up. Roscommon manager Fergal O'Donnell has made one late change to the side that beat Leitrim 4 weeks ago. Number 17, Sean Purcell, in for the injured Stephen Ormsby. 10 of these players started last year's Connacht final, but the holders have completely rebuilt their half-back line, with team captain Peter Domican now named at 6, flanked by David Keenan and newcomer Donal Ward. Michael Finneran and Carl Mannion have become a formidable midfield partnership, and they will be expected to provide the ammunition for Roscommon's marksmen, full forward Senan Kilbride and his sidekick Donie Shine. Shine hit 10 points in last year's final. Mayo manager James Horan has done plenty of experimenting during his first season, but today he's picked the same team for 2 games running for the first time. These 15 players were good enough to beat Galway, and 8 of them are starting their first Connacht senior final. The rookies include goalkeeper Rob Hennelly, the Feeney brothers Alan and Richie, and at midfield the O'Shea brothers. They're paired together again and will be expected to provide the service to that inexperienced full forward line who've played just 7 games of championship football between them. Our match referee, Michael Collins from Clonakilty in County Cork. This is his 3rd championship game of the summer, and the 113th Connacht Senior Football Final is off and running. Driving rain for the last couple of days in Roscommon. We've got a wind in for good measure as Senan O'Grady gets the first shot in on goal, and a first touch for Robert Hennelly. Now, we do believe Roscommon won the toss. They've elected to play with the elements in the first half. Here's an early chance, a very ambitious kick from way out on the left-hand side from Kevin Higgins, and that has gone wide. Paul Early, you have plenty of experience of playing in Connacht finals, and you were telling me before the match, plenty of experience playing in provincial finals on days like this. Conditions absolutely atrocious.
Yeah, I remember it was 1986, I think, and that's 25 years ago when Galway beat Roscommon with a late goal from Stephen Joyce, and that team was honoured earlier on before this game, and it was conditions like this, a very, very strong wind blowing from left to right down to the hospital goal, and very wet conditions also, but a terrific atmosphere here despite the conditions, and a great sense of expectancy among the very large contingent of Roscommon fans today.
Mayo supporters outnumbered here 3 or 4 to 1 by the looks of things. The home crowd out in force to watch the defending champions put their title back on the line. They're playing from left to right in this first half, playing into the graveyard end, as Alan Feeney, playing in his first Connacht senior final, gets an early touch. Donald Vaughan has been whistled up for fouling the ball, and Michael Collins in very quickly to make that decision. Donald Vaughan looking a little bemused.
Yeah, but noticeable early on, and Roscommon did this to Leitrim as well. Their forwards are working really, really hard, putting pressure on the Mayo defenders. We saw Kevin Higgins dispossess the Mayo corner back a few moments ago and kicking it wide, and there Donald Vaughan lost the ball in possession also, and the first chance for Donie Shine.
So Donie Shine from Clonmagale, he's been kicking his frees here at Hyde Park for the last couple of weeks. Roscommon training here in the build-up to this provincial final. And with the breeze at his back, he's got yards to spare. Flawless free from Donie Shine, and the perfect start for the defending champions.
Yeah, beautiful striker of the ball, Donie. He did it in the Connacht final last year, kicked 10 points, was the man of the match that day, and that will do his confidence a world of good, and indeed the team also, because actually that was interesting in the minor match. Both sides found it more difficult to score much with the wind. Both sides actually played better against the wind, and that was a minor game which Roscommon beat Galway comprehensively in the final.
Interestingly, just looking around the field in terms of matchups, Trevor Mortimer is picking up Cathal Craig. Apart from that, everybody playing pretty much to the programme, as Seamus O'Shea drives forward into the teeth of the breeze. He's looking for Jason Doherty, going for that ball with Shawnee McDermott. Conditions really, really tricky. And eventually, it's Michael Finneran who bends that long back of his. Help arrives from Donal Ward. Ball picked off the ground by Alan Freeman. But just in that passage of play, Paul, you can see handling and the most basic of skills really difficult with the rain we've had all morning.
Absolutely, yeah. But what you'll find as well is that the players in defence will have to be very careful and move the ball quickly, because they'll be swarmed by the forwards, and we've seen that already. Both teams working very, very hard to try and dispossess the respective defences.
A lot of freeze early on as Alan Feeney spills that greasy ball. It's fallen to Conor Devaney, and that's snuck just wide on the right-hand side. Roscommon's second. They have been applying the pressure right from the very start, but that's a very strong win behind them, and they'll be looking to go in with quite a considerable advantage at the change of ends.
Yeah, and it's noticeable again in that the ball looked as if it was going in target, but then just drifted wide of the right post, and again that was noticeable in the minor game. An awful lot of the kicks looked as if they were going over the bar, but the wind just took them a little bit to the right. So guys, the forwards in particular will have to aim for the left post, playing with the wind so that the wind can bring it in.
That was a poor kick out initially by Robbie Hennelly, but Richie Feeney gets it down the field to Andy Moran. Back to Trevor Mortimer, and slipped through to the unmarked Seamus O'Shea. His handling just let him down, couldn't recover his composure, and Peter Dommican, the Roscommon captain, was there to tidy up. Roscommon's defence have been in mean form so far this summer. Restricted Leitrim to just 6 points in the semi-final last time out. And now they're on the front foot as Michael Finneran drives it in on top of Shine. Ball breaks into the path of Senan Kilbride, who's shut down very quickly, and away with it comes Keith Higgins. This is Donald Vaughan under pressure as he got his kick away, and a first touch for Alan Dillon, the Mayo captain, playing in his 7th Connacht final this afternoon. A little bit of space opens up for Dillon, trying to measure the pass in over the top for Andy Moran, but across to cover came David Keenan, and Keenan slips it out to Higgins, and now Peter Dommican. Roscommon looking very assured in the first 5 minutes. Kevin Higgins in plenty of space, he's the playmaker. Succeeds only in finding Keith Higgins, though, who's just sitting in front of his full back line. This the third of this summer's provincial football finals. Place in the All-Ireland quarter-finals up for grabs for the winners. And according to the bookmakers, well, Mayo should be regaining the Nestor Cup a little bit later on this afternoon. Roscommon outsiders coming in, but they've started very confidently. Kevin Higgins looking for his first score. Instead, it's Roscommon's third wide.
Yeah, Kevin Higgins there should have popped the ball out to Conor Devaney. He was free on his right. Devaney, who's a very good left-footed kicker as well, and Kevin Higgins under pressure there, putting the ball to the left of the post. But again, early on, Mayo have been looking to try and get Andy Moran on the ball. He's had 2 possessions so far. That matchup between Moran and David Keenan in particular could determine the outcome of this game. Moran, a leader for Mayo, played really well in the second half against Galway when they needed him.
Robbie Hennelly's kick out just hanging in that strong breeze and grabbed by Michael Finneran. This is David Keenan. Roscommon's half-back line pushing on. Cathal Craig had that ball knocked away by Keith Higgins, and Donal Vaughan now runs into traffic. He spilled possession, slipped inside to Senan Kilbride. He has so much time, so much space, and he makes no mistake. Senan Kilbride with his first point of the Connacht final. Roscommon into their groove after 7 minutes.
Yeah, and again it was a dispossession of Donal Vaughan, which allowed the ball to get to Senan Kilbride on his own. He's not going to miss from there with no marker on him, and a good start for Roscommon.
He's Roscommon's leading scorer in the championship this summer, Senan Kilbride. That's a goal and 10 points now for the full forward from St. Bridget's. Roscommon, remember, playing with the aid of a very strong breeze in the first half and constant drizzle also blowing into Mayo's faces. Aidan O'Shea looking for Doherty, being kept on a very tight leash by Shawnee McDermott. Roscommon in no rush to kick this ball away. David Keenan being hunted down by Andy Moran, and good pressure from Moran. Keenan has overcarried it. An uncharacteristic error from David Keenan, but good work by Andy Moran.
Yeah, pressure from Andy Moran there, but Shawnee McDermott did very, very well earlier on. I'm not sure this was overcarrying. I think he tried to play the ball and then put the ball on his left foot, so I didn't see anything wrong with that.
Well, a lot of debate in the lead up to this game about who would kick the frees for Mayo this afternoon. They had a shaky day in London. Not much better against Galway, chopping and changing free takers. And Cillian O'Connor, young 19-year-old playing in his first provincial senior final, is handed the responsibility, and a nice easy one to start. 9 minutes gone, it's a 1-point game.
Yeah, very important for Cillian O'Connor to get a relatively easy kick in front of goal. Playing, as you said, Mike, in his first Connacht final, and that just give him a good boost of confidence early on, and important for Mayo to get on the scoreboard as well at this stage.
Jeffrey Claffey, the Roscommon goalkeeper, he's conceded just 1 goal in the championship so far. Slips as he makes contact, but still manages to pick out big Michael Finneran. The St. Dominic's midfielder has started well for Roscommon. No sign of possession emerging anytime soon. And Michael Collins decides to call a halt. And this will bring Aidan O'Shea and Michael Finneran into close contact yet again. O'Shea uses his power. Free quickly taken to Kevin McLaughlin, the link man between Mayo's defence and attack. Support arrives from Donal Vaughan, winding up, looking for the equaliser. Mayo's first wide. It was just outside the range needed, taking the conditions into account. There's Fergal O'Donnell, the Roscommon manager, man who lifted the Nestor Cup here back in 2001 when Roscommon last beat Mayo in the Connacht final. Sheets of rain now falling onto Hyde Park once more as that breaking ball is won by Keith Higgins, driving out with it. Continued his run to take the 1-2. He's got no support. He's outnumbered 2 and 3 to 1, but the ball breaks for Seamus O'Shea. Now Alan Freeman. Again, Roscommon have numbers back. Freeman gets through though. Still going. Taken down, and he's won a free. He just would not take no for an answer. A pack of Roscommon defenders after him, but he showed nifty feet and good determination.
Good determination in there, but I think it was probably the outside hand tackle from Donal Ward which came across his shoulder, which gave the referee a relatively easy decision to make. Players should be concentrating on tackling with the near hand, because once you go with the outside hand, you're more likely to push the player forward, and that happened on that occasion. And another relatively easy chance for Cillian O'Connor.
That's 2 points from frees from Cillian O'Connor. Mayo are on level terms for the first time. Young man who captained the Mayo minor team last summer has graduated very quickly to the senior ranks. And those couple of frees will do his confidence no harm at all. Aidan O'Shea once more rising with Finneran, and Mayo win the breaking ball through Alan Dillon. Loose player away to the right is Richie Feeney from Castlebar Mitchells. Now Andy Moran as Kevin Higgins tracks back. Seamus O'Shea, quick look up to spot where his inside line is. It's Cillian O'Connor trying to move into position. Just manages to nudge his man out of the way and link up with Kevin McLaughlin. Cillian O'Connor blocked down by the Roscommon fullback Niall Carty. And that was enough to take the sting out of the attack. This is Kevin Higgins from Western Gales. Once more, they're looking for that precise pass in over the top for Kilbride. Tom Kniff holding him back. Referee plays the advantage. Trevor Mortimer just holding up Cathal Craig. The pace gone out of this Roscommon attack. And that block has knocked it away for a 45. Tight marking by Tom Kniff. And certainly, Paul, by the looks of things, Senan Kilbride's reputation has preceded him into this game.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And Mayo are dropping an extra player back in front of Senan Kilbride and Donie Shine. It's either Keith Higgins who drifts in, he's marking Conor Devaney, or Donal Vaughan whenever Roscommon get the ball out the field. So they're not going to allow them win ball in front of the D. They're going to put pressure on the Roscommon forwards to make the runs out towards the wings, and in conditions like this, it's going to be very difficult to score from close to the sideline.
No score for Roscommon now since the 8th minute, as Donie Shine goes short to the unmarked Donal Ward, man of the match against New York on the opening day of the championship. Back to Shine. Big kick from him with the breeze at his back. It's close, but it's gone wide on the left-hand side. That's 4 wides. Roscommon certainly not afraid to shoot on sight. Well, it would seem Michael Collins has overruled his umpire. That ball last touched a Mayo hand, and Donie Shine is going to get another crack at a 45.
Yeah, I think as Donie was about to kick the ball, Mayo player came in very close to him and got a hand on it. And Donie has another opportunity here. And it's important that he kicks this one, because Roscommon haven't scored for the last 8 minutes, and they've had a few chances. Mayo have got back into the game, particularly Aidan O'Shea around the middle. His strength, he's caught a couple of balls. His strength is posing a problem. He's getting out in front of Michael Finneran in the contest, and he's a big man. It'll be very hard for Finneran to win ball when he's behind him.
A much more favourable angle for Donie Shine, and this time he makes no mistake. Roscommon go back in front. That's 2 long-range place kicks now that have been converted by Donie Shine. Looks like he's brought his shooting boots with him. And really anywhere from 45 metres in, he is unerringly accurate.
Absolutely, and I think if they get frees out at 50 or 60 metres, Donie will be having a go with that strong wind.
Roscommon playing most of this first quarter of an hour inside the Mayo half, as you'd expect, considering they have elected to play with the elements. The rain, a constant companion here in Roscommon town all morning long, and it's made for a very soft day here in the west of Ireland. Again, good pressure by the Roscommon half back line, and they have possession. Conor Devaney wearing 13, but don't let that fool you. He'll play most of his football out around the middle of the field, leaving space inside for the likes of this man, Senan Kilbride, who just couldn't hang on to that ball. Aidan O'Shea now. Possession robbed back expertly by Cathal Craig. Fell as he shot. The wides slowly but surely beginning to clock up. That's 4 now for Roscommon. And very little there for Cathal Craig to aim at in near the goal. Both Senan Kilbride and Donie Shine had made runs elsewhere.
Yeah, but they're forcing their kicks. Roscommon out around the 45-metre line with these conditions, very slippery conditions, and that crossfield wind. They're forcing their kicks, and their technique is under pressure then when they're forcing it like that.
Peter Domican wins possession for Roscommon and feeds Donie Shine quickly. He gets out in front of Alan Feeney. Feeney trying to force him wide. Shine has caught that sweetly. Wonderful score from Donie Shine. His third of the match, his first from play. And a spectacular score on a day like this.
Yeah, beautiful score there. And of course, when you're a two-footed player like Donie Shine puts real pressure on the defender. He doesn't know which way he's going to go. Donie feinted to go left onto his left foot and then went onto his right and just caressed the ball over the bar. Beautiful point.
He was an all-star nominee last year, Donie Shine. Easy there to see why. Robbie Hennelly's kick out held up quite spectacularly there in the breeze. And Mayo under a little bit of pressure as Keith Higgins once more has to get down there and win that dirty ball. And Trevor Mortimer gets the game moving. Andy Moran. Quick look up, looking for Alan Freeman, but intercepted by Niall Carty. Young Roscommon fullback. Senan Kilbride racing out with Tom Kniff. No free given. And once more, Keith Higgins with that cheeky little pick-up. And Richie Feeney. Well, it's been a slow-burning build-up to this Connacht final, particularly in Mayo. Big crowd in, though, somewhere in and around 30,000. Most of them from Roscommon, and most of them cheering there as Donie Shine got pushed over and Michael Collins awarded the free. The pressure quite relentless in this first quarter.
Yes, and it's good from a Roscommon point of view that Donie Shine and Senan Kilbride, their two key forwards, have got on the score sheet early on. I think on that occasion it was Alan Feeney who just got his feet caught in Donie Shine's, and Donie fell forward. Got a relatively easy free for the calibre of a player like Donie Shine, but Roscommon have made a switch. They moved Conor Devaney out from corner forward, out into the central area, put Senan O'Grady inside, and Conor Devaney has been playing really well in training, the player who likes to get on the ball an awful lot, so they'll hope that he'll pick up some of the dirty ball around the middle of the field.
Another bit of target practice for Donie Shine, and this time he's misjudged it. It went across the face of the goal. That's his first wide. It remains a 2-point game, and I suppose, if nothing else, that underlines just how tricky it is, even for a free taker of the calibre of Donie Shine.
Yeah, and Fergal O'Donnell will be hoping that they don't rue that miss at the end of the game, because it looks like it's going to be a very tight encounter. Score is very, very difficult to come by.
Cathal Craig piercing a hole in the Mayo cover and fisting it up and over the bar. Well, they've been coming looking for a score time and time again. That's the first chance Cathal Craig has had to run at the heart of that Mayo defence. Nobody at home, and that's his first point of the final. Roscommon stretch their lead. They're 3 in front now.
Well, that's one of his great attributes. He picks up an awful lot of breaking ball around the middle, loves to go at the goal, and on that occasion took the right option. Two Mayo defenders were coming across him. If he tried to kick it, he was perhaps going to be blocked, so a very good fisted point.
Roscommon have hit the last 3 points of the game now, beginning to open up some daylight. Again, no clean possession. Seamus O'Shea, helped out by Andy Moran. Man who plays his club football just over the road in Ballahadreen on the Mayo-Roscommon border. Jason Doherty, forced to go to the flanks in search of possession. Nothing on, close to goal. Roscommon blocking up all the avenues of attack as Alan Dillon decides to knock it in around the house. Alan Freeman and Niall Carty both missed it. Not so Conor Devaney, the extra defender, as Roscommon try and break at pace and hit Mayo on the counter. The big guns are moving into position closer to goal. Still Devaney carries it downfield. Needs support, very slow in arriving, and in any event he's penalised for an illegal hand pass.
On that occasion, again, Roscommon had 11 players back inside the 45-metre line. When Conor Devaney got the ball, there's too much of a gap between their 45-metre line and the Roscommon full forward line. He had to carry it, over-carried it and give away a free.
Very little ball going into the Mayo forward line in the first quarter. Even less sticking in there. Now Alan Freeman looking for Doherty, once more outnumbered. And Carol Mannion, who's had a quiet game so far, gets it outside to Donal Ward, hurdling a couple of tackles. A little casual with the pass, but it works out for Conor Devaney. Again, Mayo apply the squeeze quickly. And Michael Collins felt that ball was touched on the ground. Huge pressure being applied by both sides around the middle, as Alan Dillon knocks this over towards Andy Moran. He's got a couple of yards on his marker, David Keenan. No support, and he's isolated, and now Niall Carty has arrived to force him wide. Richie Feeney up from right half back, spots the run of Alan Dillon. Dillon fouled by Donal Ward. That will be a free into Mayo, but they had to work very, very hard for it. And the conditions really taking their toll in the first 22 minutes.
Yes, and that was a very silly free to give away by Donal Ward, and he gets a yellow card in the process, and deservedly so. Alan Dillon picked up the ball and he just got the right hand in and took him out of it. Not a good tackle at all, and players will have to realise in these type of conditions they cannot afford to give frees to either side in front of goal. Cillian O'Connor has started well in front of goal. Donie Shine, even though he missed that last one, anything in front of the goal is likely to be punished.
Well, this game being watched right around the country and around the world this afternoon. Among those watching, Alan Dillon's Uncle Joe, who's currently in the Galway Clinic. And I know he's a very proud uncle, a very proud Mayo supporter. And like the rest of us watching, Cillian O'Connor as he sizes up to this free. Mayo haven't scored now for 11 minutes. The cat calls beginning to ring out around Hyde Park. Cillian O'Connor has left this one on the ground and he's missed it. A big miss for the young man, and he really should have done better.
Yeah, should have done better. The wind has died a little bit and the rain has eased off, so it should have been a relatively straightforward kick. But again, maybe the issue with Mayo free takers since the London game manifests itself perhaps again. It was slightly to the right of the post. You'd wonder why maybe a left-footed free taker, perhaps an Aidan O'Shea, might have taken that one. I believe he's been practicing frees in training.
Well, the rain has thankfully subsided for the moment, as Trevor Mortimer, playing in his 8th Connacht final, gives it to Shamie O'Shea. Once more, the pass was hit more in hope than confidence, and Senan O'Grady is back to cover. This is Peter Domican. Hit late as he delivered the pass there to David Keenan. Michael Collins is letting the game continue. Roscommon not one bit pleased about that tackle on Peter Domican. And Alan Dillon it is who's been called in to account for his actions.
Yeah, and he's probably going to get a yellow card for his efforts there, because he shouldered him in the chest and blocked his run. And that is certainly rough play, and a yellow card, justifiable yellow card.
Peter Domican, the man who lifted the Nestor Cup last summer, taken out of it there by Alan Dillon. Dillon becomes the 2nd player to be booked by Michael Collins. Domican, one of 7 players in this Roscommon starting 15 that won All-Ireland minor medals back in 2006, thankfully back on his feet. And the game restarts. Dillon wins a free this time. Roscommon tipping along, 3 points in front. Another poor ball into that Mayo forward line, and once more Conor Devaney at the heart of Roscommon's rearguard action.
Again, Conor Devaney got on the ball there, but both sides are carrying the ball into trouble, and you cannot do that in conditions like this. I'd like to see an awful lot more direct football two full forward lines, well capable of winning the ball if it's kicked in early, but both sides are carrying the ball into contact and more often than not have been dispossessed.
Fergal O'Donnell there, by the looks of things, agreeing with Paul's assessment, encouraging his players to let the ball in. Kevin McLaughlin looking for Doherty. Pass just flew by his outstretched left hand, and Shawnee McDermott does really well to sneak that away. And now Carl Mannion. Peter Dominican moving into position, but the pass was overcooked, and Aidan O'Shea sprays it down the right-hand side to Andy Moran, who's working across that half-forward line, trying to lose his man. Dillon took his eye off the ball. Mayo's handling not what it should have been there, as David Keenan links up with Senan O'Grady, very rangy half forward, spots the run of Donie Shine, who just broke off the shoulder of Alan Feeney, kicking over his shoulder, round the corner and over the bar. Superbly done by Donie Shine. That's his 4th point of the first half, his 2nd from play, and that was just a little bit special.
That was absolutely a terrific score, but very excellent team play from Roscommon. Worked it out. Carl Craig involved, Senan O'Grady involved. Donie delayed his run out in front and got it in the D, and he can score from his right foot or his left, as we've seen over the last couple of years. An excellent team score for Roscommon.
4 points on the bounce now for Roscommon. 15 minutes since Mayo last scored. Trevor Mortimer taking the game and the fight to Roscommon. Back to Cillian O'Connor. Andy Moran finds a yard of space. He's gone for a big one. Mayo need a score. It's curling in. Fine kick from Andy Moran. Mayo's first point from play, and they really did need it.
They really did need it, absolutely. And I think what happened on that occasion is that David Keenan just slipped as he was coming towards Andy Moran. He's given him very, very little room so far, but once you give a player of the calibre of Andy Moran 2 or 3 metres, he's going to punish you. An excellent score for Mayo, and they needed it badly at this stage because it looked as if they were drifting away, but they're back to a 3-point game at this stage.
Breaking ball won by Alan Freeman. Moran, who's moved a little closer to goal now, trying to take on Niall Carty, pulled back by Kevin Higgins, and that's a free in for Mayo. Well, James Horan has shifted Andy Moran into that full forward line by the looks of things, just trying to ask a few hard questions of the likes of Niall Carty, and it certainly is beginning to have an impact.
Yeah, it certainly worked in the last attack. And it's a smart move because Andy is very experienced as well, and Niall Carty probably one of the more inexperienced members of the Roscommon defence, and holding down the very, very important full-back position. But he's played very, very well so far, and Alan Freeman hasn't been in the game very much, so Fergal O'Donnell will be looking at that move very, very closely to see if he needs to make a switch.
Once more, the sound is cranked up around Hyde Park as Cillian O'Connor tries to compose himself. Good kick, right over the black spot. 2 points between them again. That's 3 points from frees now for Cillian O'Connor.
Yeah, good start to the game for Cillian O'Connor, and an excellent minor. Saw him playing the minor final a couple of years ago and kicked one of the best points I've ever seen kicked from a minor. Can kick off his right and his left foot, as many of the players can nowadays as well, but really, really talented player, and good to see him playing so well in his first Connacht final.
Jeffrey Claffey drilling that ball out towards Carl Mannion, picked up by Richie Feeney. Again, he goes looking for Andy Moran. He is the go-to man now in that full forward line. Manages to ride the challenge of Shawnee McDermott. McDermott, though, came back for a second bite and wins that little battle, and also wins his free. McDermott and Moran, who both went to school at St. Nathan's College in Ballahadreen, they know each other well. And they both get up and get on with it as Niall Carty manages to pick out Sean Purcell. Certainly Roscommon have been very neat and tidy in most of what they've done in this first half. Sticking to a very definite game plan, building slowly. Peter Dominican, chased by Cillian O'Connor, just overran that ball. Donal Vaughan was caught a little late there by Carl Mannion and is down. And I think Michael Collins is going to come back and check on the well-being of Donal Vaughan.
Yeah, but Roscommon on that occasion, they worked the ball out of defence pretty well, but took one too much pass out of it for many passes from my perspective. Donal Vaughan's just got a head injury here at this stage. Hopefully it's not too serious, but again, with conditions like this, once a player gets into space, he must look to give the kick pass, and on that occasion, Peter Dominican soloed into trouble, was dispossessed from behind, and Mayo have an injury here at this stage. Yeah, late shoulder from Carl Mangan. Don't think it was in the head. I think it was more high up on the shoulder. Donal Vaughan looks okay, so hopefully he'll get back into the game and back to full health.
Donal Vaughan, a young man who was born in County Cork, now Mayo's first choice centre-half back, and fit to continue. And away we go again. We're into the final 3.5 minutes of this first half, as up comes Donal Ward to kick his first point of the Connacht final. Good score from the half-back, who came raiding up in support of Peter Dominican. Steadied, took aim, and he's just kicked Roscommon back into a 3-point lead.
Yeah, very good play. He sprinted off the half-back line. Cillian O'Connor didn't follow him on that occasion, and once you get an extra player up there, if the pass is crisp and if the pass is very accurate down through the middle, well then give him the opportunity to score a very good point.
Possession from the Mayo kick-out, won by Roscommon, and Peter Dominican. Mayo not retreating quickly enough. That will mean extra yardage, and the call goes out to Donie Shine to come out and have a look at this kick. Certainly the midfield battleground has been fiercely contested in this first half. Finneran and Mannion coming up against the O'Shea brothers. And another chance here for Donie Shine to extend the Roscommon lead. 50 metres out, right in front of the goal. Strong wind at his back. Sticks to that tried and trusted routine and gets the same result. He's a beautiful free taker. That's 5 points now in the first half, and that's a really good angle, measured to perfection.
Well, all the great free takers now have a pre-kick routine that the players can rely on even in the most pressurized situations, and of course an excellent technique which is all honed in the practice field. And on that occasion he didn't force it, even though it was 50 metres out. He just struck the ball very cleanly and let the wind do the rest.
Well, a roar went up around Hyde Park there after that score from Donie Shine. Roscommon have the momentum now. They've just created another scoring opportunity, a foul on Carl Mannion. They're beginning to up the pace now, up the ante as half-time approaches. Yellow card for Keith Higgins, and Mayo very much under the cosh now after 34 minutes.
Yeah, and on that occasion again it was Carl Mangan making his first real foray into the Roscommon forward line to support the forwards, and I'm surprised he doesn't do that a bit more often, because he's one of the cleanest and most effective strikers of the ball that I've seen over the last number of years, and I'd like to see him do that a bit more often. It worked on that occasion. Keith Higgins gave away the free and the yellow card.
So another chance to watch Donie Shine in action. The angle should suit him. That's 6 points now for the corner forward from Clonmagale. He scored 10 in last year's Connacht final. Well on his way to that target here. Roscommon now 5 points in front. And fair to say, Paul, full value for that lead as well.
Yeah, I think so at this stage. Winning an awful lot of ball out around the half-back line in particular. The full forward line, two players, Kilbride and Donie Shine, working well. And very high level of work rate from both teams, you have to say, but Roscommon edging it at the moment. And obviously the wind is helping them.
We'll have at least 3 minutes of additional time at the end of this first half. Mayo with their backs to the wall now. Roscommon trying to make the wind count. They will be against the elements for the second 35 minutes. And they felt they should have had a 45 there. Arguing their case with Michael Collins, who seemed fairly adamant. The home crowd very annoyed about that.
Well, I think there's no question that the ball was touched there as Tom Caniff went up, and in fact I think he was surprised that no Roscommon player contested the ball, but bad decision, I think, by the umpire in particular.
Game restarts, and once more Robert Hennelly goes down the centre, and again Roscommon win possession. Kevin Higgins gets there in front of Richie Feeney. Alan Dillon back to intercept for Mayo. It's all hands to the pump now. Alan Freeman started the match at full forward, but now playing much deeper. Just 3 Mayo men inside Roscommon's 45-metre line. One of them was Cillian O'Connor. The other is this man, Andy Moran, who has Niall Carty for company. Carty has pushed him over, and Mayo have a free.
Yeah, that was, again, a silly foul to give away, not in the danger area whatsoever. It was going to be very, very difficult for Mayo to recycle the ball or shoot from there, and it's given a free opportunity now to Cillian O'Connor. It's a difficult kick, having said that, and looks as if he's going to try and take it out of the hands.
Cillian O'Connor trying to work something short with Kevin McLaughlin. Nice little decoy run made by O'Connor. Kevin McLaughlin kicked an important score in London, and he's just kicked another big one here. That's his first point of the match. It comes just into the 3rd minute of stoppage time, and it reels Roscommon back in just a little.
Yeah, and on that occasion, Kevin McLaughlin did very, very well, but 2 Roscommon players went to the player nearest Kevin McLaughlin. They thought he was going to offload it, and it allowed him then get away with and have the space to be able to kick the ball under no pressure, and a good score for Mayo.
Possession finds its way to Kevin Higgins, who again goes route 1, dropping in on top of Shine, who touches it on towards Senan Kilbride. But Robert Hennelly left his goal quickly. Donald Vaughan. Roscommon felt that ball was touched on the ground. The referee didn't see it that way. Keith Higgins puts the head down and tries to drive out with that ball, but it was the wrong decision. Ran into a cluster of Roscommon players, fouled the ball, and once more Roscommon's pressure game pays off.
Yes, and I think again on that occasion Mayo weren't making the penetrating runs, even though Keith Higgins is one of the quickest players on the Mayo team, and loves to make those forays out of defence, but not penetrating when they're making those runs. And when Roscommon get 3 and 4 players into tackle him with conditions like we have today, he's going to be dispossessed, and he touched the ball on the ground.
So Donie Shine to address this kick again. Once more it's from the left-hand side, well within his range. Gale Force breathes at his back. His second wide, and you start to wonder, will these come back to bite Roscommon down the home stretch? It's a very strong breeze. They'll bring a 4-point lead into the dressing room at half-time. Donie Shine, 6 points he scored in that first half. The defending champions playing with the aid of the wind, and Mayo have it all to do. Half-time at Hyde Park, Roscommon lead Mayo by 9 points to 5.
Wind and rain have dominated the game, but we have seen Donie Shine. Analysis after this.
Experience more. Aircom, proud sponsor of the GAA Football Championship.
Fists.
It's half-time at Dr. Hyde Park in the Connacht Senior Football Final, and the defending champions Roscommon 4 points to the good, with Donie Shine leading the way. Mayo getting 3 points from frees from Cillian O'Connor. But will 4 points be enough? Because if you look at the stats now, the very strong wind and the rain favouring Roscommon, they had 62% possession. If you see, very much dominant in this game. But if you also look at the wides, 7 wides as against just 2 for Mayo. So, Peter, given the strength of the wind and of the rain, Have Mayo done anything, or have Roscommon done anything near enough in the first half?
No, the breeze is that strong, you'd want to be going in with a 6 or 7 point lead. Fergal O'Donnell will be bitterly disappointed. Number one, that is midfield. You would have expected before the game that his midfield would have dominated. They haven't. Mayo have actually won more kickouts than Roscommon. But where they have gained possession, they've turned them over very well, and they're showing a great appetite and a great work rate. And the other thing that he'll be disappointed, that 17 shots on goal,
and
but
let's
the
see some of the ones that
they've
worked.
only scored 9 times, Matt, so it's a poor enough return.
And they did get some good scores, so let's talk through those here, David.
Yeah, they got some fantastic scores, but what they did was the shot and right was like Donie Shine is the only man on the pitch who could score from there, and all realistic because the wind was coming across him. You know, Feeney, he tried his best, but you need to keep a hand on the likes of Donie Shine and these top forwards all the time. But what they did, they worked the ball, they did complete opposite sometimes. They worked the ball in perfect positions, and you know, they had men running at pace. Like Craig did very, very well here. You know, pace and power running forward because you have guys standing off in the wings.
But we've seen them been able to do that, Liam, so why weren't they doing more of it?
Well, they were very slow in the way they actually brought the ball forward. I mean, I don't think Roscommon kicked the ball out of their own half of the field once in that 35 minutes. They're very laboured in their approach, and it's the type of conditions where, you know, lads should be just lashing the ball, letting it into the full forward line. You have a situation there in the first half where you had Kilbride and Shine, and they were making 2, 3, 4, 5 little runs. On occasions, their markers were pulling them down once or twice, but they weren't. The ball wasn't coming into them, so they're waiting and they're very stationary. It got to the stage in that half where Roscommon forwards were stopping, weren't making any more runs at all because they knew the ball was going to be so slow coming forward.
You can see on the stats, when you have the wind, let the ball do the work. Yeah. Roscommon had what, 59 hand passes, Mayo had 34.
Well, let's have a look though at Mayo though, and whether they have the ability to build it back in the second half, because there was an awful lot of handling errors, Peter.
There was it's surprising that they've actually kicked past the ball. Mayo have kicked past the ball 38 times and they've only used the hand passes 34. And you think against the breeze that there would have been far more hand passing. But you're quite correct. You can blame the wind, you can blame the rain for making mistakes, but some of the decision making and some of the handling errors are very basic, and you know, from a Mayo team you'd be expecting much better.
And what you can see is that the guys are thinking, what am I going to do with the ball? And they go, oh geez, I'm after dropping the ball. The ball is key first before you do anything with it.
But in the sort of conditions and the sort of game they're playing, Mayo, as opposed to Roscommon, have to have the short hand pass. You know, there's no point them letting the ball fly because it won't go anywhere more than 30, 40 yards. I think Mayo are playing the right game. You are going to have spillage like that, but I think they've done a lot of things right. You wouldn't ask too much more of Mayo in that half.
We will have more analysis when we come back after this short break.
Come on, lads. The club needs the money.
Less talking, more scrubbing.
Ulster Bank GAA Force, helping your club matters.
Freshly prepared for you. Introducing the new Classic Beef, part of the delicious range of wraps from McDonald's. They're too tasty to put down.
When you pick up the Star, you're getting an Irish view on things from journalists who are true sports fans just like you. Channeling the spirit of Gaelic games, we've Davy Fitz and Martin McHugh. And if horses set your pulse racing, read Europe's top tipster, Kieran O'Connell. While Eddie Hobbs makes the most of your money, Michael O'Toole is at the front line of Irish crime. And on Celeb Watch, Georgia Salpa reveals all. On every page, in every way, it's part of what we are. We're the Star, and we're better because we're Irish.
All prize bonds have magical power. They can come to life. Thousands of cash prizes are won every week, and €1 million every month. And what's more, you can always have your money back. Prize bonds. You can sleep soundly, and you can still dream.
No way he'll be in first thing tomorrow.
Reach for Alka-Seltzer for fast relief when you need it most.
You're late.
Alka-Seltzer brings you back.
Hot deals this month at Harvey Norman. Deals so good, you won't need to shop anywhere else. We've got hot prices on our massive range of furniture and bedding. Get the Como 5-piece set in a choice of 4 colours for just €99. Save €300 on the zinc corner suite. Now only €8.99. Get assorted children's single Disney duvet sets for just €12. More hot deals throughout the store in furniture and bedding. Harvey Norman Hot Deals catalogue out now. Don't miss out.
VHI Healthcare's One Plus plan is 29% cheaper than Aviva's We Level 2 XS. Switch to One Plus plan, our fastest growing family plan, and get great hospital cover and more from Ireland's leading health insurer for a lot less than you think. Over 70,000 people have already signed up to VHI Healthcare's One Plus plan. So why pay 29% more? Switch to VHI Healthcare today. When you need us, we're there.
The present day. What do Mayo have to do you think, Peter, in the second half to take this game to Roscommon?
Well, the onus is on them to do that, to take the game to Roscommon. In fairness to James Horan, in the first half, I thought he was very quick to make a switch on his full forward line. There wasn't much coming off him. He moved Andy Moore in after 15 minutes, and he was very effective in there. But in the second half, I would put Aidan O'Shea into the edge of the square. He hasn't been that effective in midfield. Bring on Ronan McGarity, and he'll win more clean possession for them out there as well.
McGarity could be Mayo's big trump card. Aidan hasn't been really in the game. He's been breaking a lot of ball, but he's been breaking towards the Roscommon forward line. Like, the big thing is, you have experienced players like Ronan McGarity. The one thing Mayo can't do is do not shoot for the sake of doing it. When you've got the ball 40 or 50 yards out, the wind is not going to put it over. You get a time, you get a position, and you get an opportunity to take it.
Do Mayo have the head for this? Do they have the psychological wherewithal to actually whittle down a lead?
You know, Liam said it there at the start. They've underachieved outside of Connacht the last 20 or 30 years. They have. But you know what? Mayo have achieved in Connacht because they know they're well capable of beating this Roscommon team. Just because they're Connacht finalists doesn't mean they have to fall apart.
So what about Roscommon? How do they approach this now, Liam?
Well, they're going to learn from, you know, they will learn a lot from watching what worked for Mayo and what didn't work for Mayo. You know, they're going to have to carry the ball to Mayo this half. Unlike the lads, I wouldn't move the O'Sheas. I would start Aidan O'Shea in the middle of the field. I think if you put him into the full forward line, he's going to be easily boxed up in those sort of conditions. Mayo have to vary their game. They've got to carry the ball, but also they've got to let the ball long and hard every 5 or 10 minutes. Give the inside forwards a chance. But, you know, it's a game that Roscommon still have the winning of. But, you know...
But how? Are they going to get many scores in the second half?
Donie Shine should have scored 2 points. He missed 2 easy frees in the first half. It should be a 6-point game. It's a 4-point game. You know, if Mayo can keep their heads, if they can get ball into Kilbride and Shine, in my view, they're still the 2 best forwards in the whole province.
Do they need a goal, though, Roscommon?
Yes, that's what I'm going to say. If they get balls into Shine and Kilbride, they can actually nick a goal. And that could be the clincher of this Connacht title for Roscommon.
Well, let's go back, over to our commentary team of Paul Early and Mike Finnerty.
Thank you very much, Matt. Welcome back. Roscommon just emerging back out onto the field for this second half. No changes as far as we can see on either side. James Horan deciding to leave well enough alone at the moment, although there is quite considerable speculation that we will see Ronan McGarity sooner rather than later in this game. Attendance, incidentally, confirmed at half-time as being just over 25,500 people for this 113th Connacht Senior Football Final. The majority of them from County Roscommon, and understandably they have enjoyed things by and large so far. Paul Early, it's all set up for a fascinating second half. Roscommon to play against the breeze, but they're in pole position.
In pole position, but the question around the ground is a 4-point lead enough playing against this strong breeze? That is some tackle. Both players going down in that contest already. We've seen that Mayo have started the game with a 2-man full forward line. Alan Freeman playing inside, and Cillian O'Connor and Jason Doherty drifting out around the wing, and two clash of heads there.
Well, the players who came together and collided were Mayo's Aidan O'Shea and Roscommon's Donal Ward. Both of them fully intent on making headway and clashing heads, and both medical teams in very quickly to work on their players.
Yeah, I think that certainly would be, in my view, a free to Mayo, because Donald Ward, while he was aggressive in his tackle, Aidan O'Shea was the player in possession, and he caught him a little bit too high, and hopefully both players will recover pretty quickly. Aidan O'Shea, I think, playing in his first Connacht final at midfield, and did well at the start of the game, went out of it in the last 15 minutes of that first half, and Mayo will need him to get his hands on a lot of ball in this second half, use his strength and excellent ball playing ability. He was an outstanding minor a few years ago, and a great score getter as well, so he's up, and that's good to see.
Interestingly, James Horan had called on James Kilcullen to get ready, number 21 in your picture there, but not needed at this stage, and Aidan O'Shea will try and continue. Just speaking there with the Mayo team doctor Sean Moffat, as Donald Ward looks very much the worse for wear. A young man playing in his first season with Roscommon this summer. Plays his club football with Western Gales, and he will be a big loss to a very impressive half-back line.
Certainly will, because in the latter half of the first half, he started to get on top of his man and made a couple of very good surging runs up the field, scored a great point, and that would have given him a huge boost of confidence. But I think it's Cathal Dineen that's coming on, an experienced player from the Castlereagh club, and he should be able to fit in. He's played wing back many times for the county.
So Fergal O'Donnell forced to reshuffle things as this second half finally gets up and running. Mayo playing from left to right, defending the town goal, playing with the wind and the rain at their backs. And a chance here perhaps for Cillian O'Connor to try and eat into that lead.
Yeah, here's an interesting dilemma for Mayo now. Does Cillian O'Connor kick it with his right foot, or do they give it to a fellow like Aidan O'Shea, naturally left-footed player? Looks like Cillian O'Connor with his right foot. We saw in the first half a lot of balls drifting wide of the right-hand post, so he'll have to target the left-hand post and hope that the wind brings it in.
Cillian O'Connor has converted 3 frees in this game so far, missed just the one in the first half. Electing to kick this one out of his hands. He took too long, and it's going to be a hot ball. And psychologically, that's a big blow to a young man playing in his first Connacht final, surely.
Yeah, and a strange decision, I have to say, by the referee. I've seen many referees give players, free takers, an awful lot more time than that, and a big blow certainly, but Roscommon would want to stop fouling, because Mayo have got most of their scores from frees, and handy frees at that, so Roscommon will have to be a bit more disciplined in the second half.
So a chance has come and gone for Mayo, and now Roscommon will try and break. This is Carl Mannion. He's been really quiet. He was looking for Senan Kilbride, but across to cover comes Tom Caniff, cornerback who's got pace to burn. Just hearing, Paul, that there were 31 seconds between the free, 41 seconds between the free being awarded and Michael Collins stepping in to blow his whistle. So when you do put it like that, the bare statistics, you can see where the referee was coming from.
Yeah, fair enough, but I think on many occasions referees, other things happen after a free is given. A referee talks to a player, maybe has a word with them, but there's another easy free right in front of goal, and again it's Cillian O'Connor that's been fouled. And again, as I said, Roscommon will just have to watch the discipline in this second half, because if they allow Mayo get some easy frees in front of goal, give them a huge lift and narrow the gap obviously in the process.
So Cillian O'Connor gets a chance to atone, and he takes it with both hands. Yellow card for Cathal Dineen. He's just on the field a matter of moments. He's been the 4th player to be booked in the match. Cillian O'Connor that time wasting no time in taking the free, and it's a 3-point game, half an hour to go in this Connacht senior football final. Roscommon bidding today to put Connacht titles back to back for the first time in 20 years. But an awful lot of football to be played in this match, as this time it's Jeffrey Claffey's kick out that hangs up on that breeze, and in to win it is Seamus O'Shea to Andy Moran. Onto his left-hand side, looks to have caught it well, wide on the left. It was curling all the time, but didn't curl sufficiently.
And again, Mayo have moved Andy Moore now to wing back and renewed his rivalry with David Keenan. First 15-20 minutes of the game, the matchup was really competitive. Nobody really on top. David Keenan, a very, very good defender, but Andy Moore, again, disappointed with that because he thought it had curled in. But Mayo on top in the first few minutes of the second half, winning the ball around the midfield.
Jeffrey Claffey. Kick out breaks down to Carol Mannion. This is Cathal Dineen, and now sending Kilbride. Roscommon's forwards moving constantly, trying to get away from their men. This is Donie Shine. Alan Feeney lost his footing. Shine waits for support. It comes from the substitute, Dineen, once more. Now Michael Finneran, as Mayo get their defensive formation organised. And in the end, Michael Finneran just ran out of road. And this is Richie Feeney. Well, it's been a Connacht final that has been a war of attrition. An odd glimpse of good football here and there, predominantly from Roscommon so far. But it's a day for digging in as David Keenan sprints forward and gives it to Conor Devaney. Devaney to the unmarked Kevin Higgins. Peeled away to that right-hand side. Just one man to aim at inside. Higgins trying to fist it towards goal, but easy in the end for Robbie Hennelly. Roscommon just trying to get their bearings now, playing into that very strong breeze. Trevor Mortimer, quick look up to spot where Jason Doherty was. Holds off Cathal Craig, who's just dropped back in front of his full back line. Doherty's outnumbered 4-1. A fierce clamour for possession. And then in the end, Roscommon will have the ball back. Very, very ragged around the edges, though.
Yeah, and last two attacks that Roscommon had, they took the wrong options. On the left-hand side, they had 4 players across in front of the D and 2 Mayo defenders, and they tried to work it to Michael Finneran, and he was swallowed up by 3 Mayo defenders. And again, Kevin Higgins fisted the ball to nobody across the goal. Their decision-making, the last pass has been quite poor in the last few minutes.
Now Peter Domican to David Keenan. Once more, Roscommon's half-back line pressing on. This is Donie Shine. Neat footwork to hold off Alan Feeney. Trying to burrow his way through. Gets his shot away, but under serious pressure. And Robbie Hennelly has as much time as he needs to control that ball and try and find a colleague. But the pass didn't stick with Alan Freeman. In came Peter Domican, and the Roscommon captain really leading by example in this game. He's just won another free.
Yeah, but here's another example of poor decision-making. Donie Shine did really, really well out there, but there was a player, Conor Devaney, little flick pass to Conor Devaney rather than kicking it under extreme pressure, and Roscommon will have to take most of those chances, or some of those chances in the second half, because they won't get that many against the breeze. Here's now a very, very difficult kick from the right-hand side, a right-footed free taker into the teeth of the wind.
So this is a first shot at goal in this second half for Donie Shine. Helped himself to 6 points in the first half. I see the Mayo manager James Horan imploring the referee to hurry up Donie Shine. The free drops in. Scooped back by Higgins. Gathered up by Aidan O'Shea. Timekeeping over the frees becoming something of an issue as Alan Freeman releases Trevor Mortimer. First chance really for Mortimer to head downfield. Diagonal ball, Doherty missed it, it falls to Dillon. Now what can Dillon do here? He takes the sensible option and chips it over the bar. Using all his experience there, didn't panic. It's back to a 2-point game.
Yeah, and on a wet day like today, the ball right into the danger zone, going to put defences under pressure, and that one broke to Alan Dillon, read the flight really well. Some of the Roscommon defenders didn't get to the pitch of the ball, allowed it over their heads, and Mayo back to 2 points and playing more direct football at this stage.
Well, Paul, we're just being told it was 46 seconds with that Roscommon free, from the awarding of the free to the taking of the kick. So Michael Collins, I think, may be accused of double standards.
Absolutely. Well, this is the big issue, inconsistency again. If he gives a free to one against one player for dwelling in the ball, he should give it to the opposition player as well. I haven't seen that for quite a while actually in the game, so this is the thing that annoys players and annoys managers, the inconsistency of decision making.
In any event, Roscommon lead by 2 points. Conor Devaney coughs that ball up in the tackle and won by Trevor Mortimer. Starting to come more and more into the game now. To Alan Dillon, the Mayo captain. Very much on the periphery of the match in the first half, as meanwhile, in near the goal and off the ball, Shawnee McDermott and Jason Doherty were rolling around the ground as Alan Dillon tried to gather that ball. And I think Michael Collins saw what was going on and is going to take some action, Paul.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what decision he takes here, but again, it was Roscommon in possession, gave the ball away cheaply to Mayo. Mayo counter-attacking and have an opportunity out here on the right wing, but Roscommon very, very poor in the second half, losing an awful lot of ball through poor, as I said, poor decision-making and taking too much ball into the contact, and Mayo exploiting that.
Both players booked. That's 6 now yellow cards in this match. Mayo goes short with the free. Kevin McLaughlin trying to bend that one in, hasn't measured it sufficiently, and that is Mayo's 4th wide of the match. But they're starting to get their hands on more ball. They've hit the last 3 points of the game, and this would seem to be their chance to put together a purple patch.
Yeah, and what Roscommon are playing, one player inside the 20-metre line, one player between the 20-metre and the 45-metre line, and everyone else is up around the middle or in defence, so they're allowing Mayo play the game in the Roscommon defence or in that half, and you can't afford to do that when you're playing against the wind. You've got to attack and not protect that lead.
Alan Dillon had to dig deep into his box of tricks there to hold off Carol Mannion, as Seamus O'Shea, a very direct type of midfielder, threads it through towards Cillian O'Connor, but cut out back there by Cathal Craig. He's playing as the sweeper in this second half, but there was a third-man tackle by Cathal Dineen on Cillian O'Connor, well spotted by Michael Collins. And Cathal Dineen, who was booked shortly after coming on a few minutes ago, I think he's escaped with a rap on the knuckles there.
Absolutely, again, a ridiculous free to give away in a situation where Roscommon had possession. Again, he just stepped across him, and rightly so, the referee gave the decision, and he just took him out of the game. And again, Cillian O'Connor has won 3, if not 4 frees in the second half, and the Roscommon defence is totally indisciplined at the moment, and we'll have to sort that out very, very quickly if they're to win this Connacht title.
Well, Cathal Dineen, I think, can count himself a little fortunate there to escape with a ticking off as Cillian O'Connor sizes up to this free. It's an important kick. It's snuck inside that post. And the Connacht final is now a 1-point game. That is 5 points from Cillian O'Connor. It was oh so close. The umpire liked it, and so did Cillian O'Connor.
Yeah, a couple of Roscommon defenders disputing the decision, but the umpire was very clear and made the decision, and Mayo back 1-point game and have the momentum at this stage, the wind and the momentum, and are making a change in the middle of the field. James Kilcullen on.
Yes, Aidan O'Shea has had to leave the fray. He picked up a blow to the head earlier on in this second half. He's been replaced by James Kilcullen for the moment, at least. It's initially, I think it's a blood sub by Mayo as Jeffrey Claffey's kick out finds its way to a colleague. This is Niall Carty. Mayo now pressing Roscommon higher and higher up the pitch. Trevor Mortimer closing in around Carty, and he's won a free. You get the sense the tide is slowly but surely starting to turn, but Roscommon still have the lead. David Keenan. Remember, Roscommon now playing into the teeth of the wind and the rain. Kevin Higgins. Good vision to spot Keenan, who continued his run. This is Carol Mannion. Loose man on the far side is Peter Domican. Instead, Roscommon go down the short side with Conor Devaney. Inside to Senan O'Grady. And all the while, Mayo players funneling back as Roscommon try and reset this move again. Dineen. Back to Senan Kilbride. Kilbride has seen enough. He's dropped it in towards Shine. Chance here! He's blazed it over the bar. A glorious chance of a goal for Donie Shine. The shot was always rising. he'll have to be content with the point.
Yeah, I think Senan Kilbride was actually going for the point, but Donie out in front and tried to blast it. Thought he might have turned on to his more favoured right foot and maybe sucked the defender in, but very, very important point for Roscommon. And at this stage, Donie Shine seems to be the only option Roscommon have in there in the full forward line. He's winning ball out in front, so they should be targeting him much more often and more quickly.
That was Roscommon's first score for 19 minutes, and it's enough to put them 2 in front again. He scored a spectacular goal against Leitrim in the semi-final, and that was very nearly another one, as it looks like the other of the O'Shea brothers, Shamey, has been in the wars, but happy enough to continue. A little under 20 minutes to go now in this Connacht final. This is the first time these teams have met in a provincial decider since 2001 here at the Hyde. That day it took a late goal from Jerry Lohan to win it for Roscommon. By the looks of things, Paul, we're in for another tight finish.
Well, it could go down to the wire, there's no doubt about that, and then it will depend on which team has the greater nerve in these situations. Roscommon, of course, last year in the Connacht final were ahead of Sligo. Sligo came back to level the game, and then Roscommon went on and won it. Some of the St. Bridget's players on the Roscommon team, Carl Mangan, Peter Domick, and players like that, have had experience over the last number of years of winning games in the last few minutes. Mayo maybe don't have as much experience in that situation, particularly over the last 18 months.
And speaking of experience, James Horan has just brought in Ger Cafferty to replace Alan Feeney. Alan Feeney, who celebrates his 26th birthday today. And he makes way after 53 minutes. And the experienced Ger Cafferty has gone straight in to mark Donie Shine, obviously causing the Mayo management a lot of concern is big Donie Shine. At the other end, Moran, back to Alan Freeman. Turned away in disgust as soon as he kicked that ball. He knew he had snatched at it. 5 wides for Mayo. And no surprise to see Carl Craig looking for a new pair of gloves. It has been an atrocious day here at Hyde Park. And interesting to see Ger Cafferty going straight into the Mayo full-back line.
Yeah, I think it was Ger that played full-back, Mike, in the Connacht final 2 years ago on Michael Meehan in Pearse Stadium, where Mayo were 4 points ahead with a minute or two to go, and Meehan got a goal and a point. Mayo went on to win the game, but he didn't look that comfortable in full-back on that particular day. So it's a big test for him now with Donie Shine playing well.
Free to Roscommon for an overzealous challenge there by James Kilcullen, another one of the Ballahadreen boys, as the free is taken short. Senan O'Grady links up with Cathal Dineen. Player arriving on the overlap is Carl Mannion from St. Bridget's, moving into a shooting position. He can kick off either foot, but that time just seemed to overcomplicate things. Didn't make good contact with the shot. I think I can see him arguing his case there that he was fouled, but in any event, that's 8 wides for Roscommon, and they're making a change. They're bringing in number 25, Darren McDermott, and the player who's being withdrawn is Senan O'Grady. So Darren McDermott from Castlereagh St. Kevin's in for the last 16 minutes or thereabouts. This is Conor Devaney. A very unorthodox, unusual pass right across towards Senan Kilbride, who's got once more Tom Kniff for company, and Kniff once again bides his time, nips in and puts his pace to good use, eating up the ground on that far side. Now decides to deliver it towards Alan Freeman. Ball wouldn't stick. Touched on the ground by Cathal Dineen.
Yeah, again, Roscommon had the possession, relatively easy possession. Senan Kilbride lost it as he was about to pick up the ball under no real pressure. Mayo have counter-attacked and have got a free just outside the 45-metre line.
So Aidan O'Shea patched up and back on the field again as we swing into the final 15 minutes of normal time. This Connacht final delicately poised as all eyes fall onto Cillian O'Connor. Each and every kick he's had in this match have been important, and that was another one. Ice cool from the young teenager from Ballintubber. 6 points now in this game, and he is keeping Mayo in touch.
No doubt about that, but again, it was as a result of a Roscommon error, but he is playing very, very well. He's the target man for Mayo inside, has won a lot of the frees himself in the second half, and has been very, very accurate with his frees. An excellent performance from Cillian O'Connor in his first Connacht final.
Both managers wrapped up nice and warm in the rain gear here. I'm sure when they started planning for this season's championship, the last thing they envisaged was a rain-lashed Sunday afternoon here in Hyde Park. The weather really has let them down, but both teams trying to make the best of it. Andy Moran, elusive as ever, turning onto that trusty right boot. It's a big kick, he's forced it, and that's gone 6 wides for Mayo. And not the wisest shot selection in the world.
No, and even though the conditions are poor, with the wind behind you, that was a poor effort, and the quality of kicking has been poor today. And but having said that, we have to consider that they are dreadful conditions, very, very slippy underfoot, and you know, players hate to play in windy conditions. They will be happy enough to play in rain, but the wind as well, that makes it very, very difficult. But poor enough for a Connacht final. You'd expect more accuracy from two teams who have ambitions to go further.
That ball broke into the path of Carl Mannion, and he releases Kevin Higgins as quickly as he could. Higgins trying to return the favour, but intercepted by Richie Feeney. And now Andy Moran to Trevor Mortimer. Evades the challenge of Michael Finneran. Once more, Freeman the intended target, and again the ball spills free. Roscommon have so many players back in that area of the pitch as Cathal Craig is caught late, and Michael Collins says play away. Carl Mannion to Senan Kilbride, who breaks out from the edge of the square, but he overran the ball. And once more it's Richie Feeney who is covering time and again for his full back line, who wins the free. Donal Vaughan pumping that ball into the space behind Andy Moran, in front of Jason Doherty, but that ball skids away on the greasy surface. And Paul Early, 12 minutes to go, game delicately poised. Your impressions at this fairly critical juncture?
Yeah, well, I think every time Roscommon go forward and lose the ball relatively easily, it gives Mayo a huge lift. And a one-point game now with the chance just inside the 45-metre line. Probably Cillian O'Connor will take the free. As I said, Roscommon on top possession-wise, but because of a lack of poor quality decision-making, because of the last pass, because some skill errors have allowed Mayo get back into this game, and some indiscipline in defence as well.
Interestingly, Roscommon have been outscored by 5 points to 1 in the last 25 minutes of play, and still they lead by a point. Cillian O'Connor with the breeze at his back. Again, he elects to kick from the hands, and it turns out to be a good decision. That's 7 points now for the 19-year-old from the county champions Ballintubber. He was playing minor football 12 months ago, and he is really holding his nerve, Paul, in what can only be described as a cauldron here at Hyde Park.
Absolutely, and he really is the only option that Mayo have up front, other than Andy Moran is getting on the ball a bit as well. But I think Cillian O'Connor has scored pretty much everything in the second half for Mayo, and Roscommon will have to try and change their options up front, because they only really have Donie Shine, who's winning possession and is the real scoring threat.
So Enda Varley is in for Mayo, as this Connacht final swings into the home straight. Alan Dillon looking for Cillian O'Connor or Andy Moran. Ball hacked away eventually by Sean Purcell, but at this stage the legs beginning to get heavy, the mind's beginning to tire, and you just wonder who has got the extra work done, who can push on now and take this match by the scruff of the neck. Alan Dillon. He spotted Freeman. Freeman inside to Trevor Mortimer. Handing let him down, and he very nearly bundled that ball into the net, but wide it goes. Well, back in 1989, Jimmy Burke scored a famous goal into that end in quite similar fashion. And Trevor Mortimer very nearly did it again.
Yeah, maybe the pass a little bit high and he had to go at it with one hand, but Hennelly let him down again. That was a real chance for Mayo. And Alan Freeman did the right thing, but just the execution of the pass, if he had hit him on the chest, I think certainly he would have grabbed it with two hands, and a real goal chance. And with 10 minutes to go, if Mayo got a goal at this stage with the momentum that they have, well, it would have been extremely difficult for Roscommon to recover from this.
So Enda Kenny does make an appearance at Hyde Park. There's Roscommon's Enda Kenny from Castlereagh in for Senan Kilbride, who has had very little change out of Tom Caniff this afternoon. But Enda Kenny, Paul, a very similar player for the Mayo defence to cope with.
Yeah, he's very strong. He's played midfield as well for Roscommon, can play centre back, centre forward, and he's going well in training, I understand, so he'll want to certainly impose himself very quickly on this game, because as I said a bit earlier, Roscommon appeared to have only one really option in the forward line, that's Donie Shine, and they need to get a couple of other forwards on the ball and contributing to scores.
Now, back in 1991, these two teams needed a second day out to separate them in the Connacht final. Will we need another replay? The sides are locked together for only the second time in this Connacht final. Mayo have hit 6 of the last 7 points in the match. They have the momentum, they have the breeze at their backs, but Roscommon still carrying the game, sticking to the game plan, working it short, probing for gaps and openings. This is Michael Finneran from St. Dominic's to David Keenan. Plays his club football with St. Barry's. Man trying to punch a hole here is Sean Purcell. Met by a wall of Mayo defenders and flicked away by Tom Caniff. No way through for Roscommon there. Caniff goes long. Cillian O'Connor has 3 Roscommon defenders for company. It breaks to Alan Dillon. Dillon trying to slip past Craig. He's been pulled back. And that's a free into Mayo. Well, Dillon has found his second wind, and he was very nearly in on goal there.
Yeah, and Mayo realising in the last 10 or 15 minutes that the direct ball with the wind right into the danger area is paying huge dividends. And again, Cillian O'Connor at the in the full forward line had the ball in his chest. He's the target man, and here he has another opportunity to kick another free. But Mayo, when they counter-attack, are kicking it long and quickly, and Roscommon, unfortunately, for their perspective, are only playing Donie Shine inside the 45-metre line. Everybody else is drifting too far out.
That is point number 8 for Cillian O'Connor. All from frees. Mayo in front for the first time with 6.5 minutes to go. And James Horan is about to spring Ronan McGarrity, a veteran of so many of these big days. And psychologically, this a huge moment. Roscommon behind and McGarrity into the match.
Yes, and he certainly has 10 or 15 minutes in him. There's no doubt about that. He played well when he came on against Galway. It's a huge boost for Mayo at this stage to go 1 point ahead and to have a player of his calibre come on. But Roscommon have got to commit more players to attack at this stage now, because they cannot afford to protect the lead anymore. They don't have one, and they've got to get a couple of scores if they want to win this Connacht title.
Roscommon outscored by 6 points to 1 since half-time as Aidan O'Shea winds up. He gave that everything he had, but screwed off his boot. And it remains a 1 point game. Well, there's a slightly different message than you'd normally see from behind a goal in a big championship match. And certainly the message coming through loud and clear all around Hyde Park and Roscommon in the past few days. Well, now Roscommon are really having their mettle tested. Easy wins over New York and Leitrim, getting them to this stage of the championship. Now they're in a real dogfight. They're behind for the first time. That's a foul on Enda Kenny. And this, breeze or no breeze, will mean a nod in the direction of Donie Shine, one of the finest place kickers in the country. As Roscommon get ready to make another change, they're bringing in number 24, Ger Heenahan, another of the Castlereagh contingent, started the Connacht final last year. And Conor Devaney, who has worked himself to a standstill, is the player being withdrawn. Now, remember, it was Derek Duggan back in '91 who kicked a 60-metre free to bring the Connacht final to a replay. Shine's kick curls just wide.
And interesting, no Roscommon forward in there to contest it. They brought on Ger Heenan. Ger, very, very good forward, but hasn't played a lot of football the last few weeks, has been injured. I think has only really played in the last week, so it's a big ask for him to turn the game in Roscommon's favour with 5 minutes to go. But Mayo certainly have the momentum, and you think that if Mayo can just tag on another point here, it could certainly look like that they'll win this game.
Possession is with Roscommon. Mayo are getting ready to make another change. Pather Gardner is getting ready to come in as Richie Feeney, his late father Ger, won a Connacht Championship medal way back in 1981. Richie Feeney dropping it in towards Cillian O'Connor. End of Varley it is who gets there first. The substitute from Gary Moore, the fresh legs. He got out in front of Shawnee McDermott, and he was not prepared to give up that ball without a fight.
And again, Mike, it was a quick ball, direct kicking. Okay, it wasn't that accurate over near the sideline, but it was a good quality, good long kick in, and Mayo are prepared to kick to the contest at this stage because they know they have the advantage, and they're winning the breaks inside. And another free opportunity for Cillian O'Connor. This is the most difficult one of the day so far for him.
So Pather Gardner, the man that kicked the winner in the 2009 final, he's in. Mayo have used all their 5 subs as Cillian O'Connor drops this one in. It breaks to Alan Dillon, who's had a huge influence in this second half. Looking to link up with Andy Moran, but it landed down around his bootlaces. He couldn't resist the temptation to touch it on the ground. And Roscommon have the free. Time now very much of the essence for the defending champions. 2.5 minutes of normal time left. And really and truly, Paul, they have to get their shooters, their marksmen, onto the ball.
Roscommon certainly do, and it doesn't look as if they can at this stage because every forward, as I said, has gone out of the game, and they're not just getting the ball in quick enough. They're trying to carry the ball and again carry it into the contest, and Mayo are dispossessing them, and they've done that all right through the second half and haven't changed their tactics at all.
Incredible to think Roscommon have scored just once in this second half against the breeze, as Aidan O'Shea picks up a yellow card and joins what is a fairly lengthy list in that notebook. 9 players now booked by Michael Collins in what's been by and large a very sporting contest. Ger Heenan has just won a free, possibly one of the most important he's ever won. That's why Aidan O'Shea was booked just a moment ago. But Ger Heenan, just into the match there, managed to manoeuvre himself out in front of his man. And his hard work presents Donie Shine with a chance to level the game for the 3rd time. On an ordinary day, this would be pretty straightforward for the 22-year-old from Clonnagail, but nothing ordinary about this afternoon or this match. And there you can see why. The breeze catching it, pushing it back out the field. It breaks once, a second time, and Richie Feeney it is who comes driving out with that ball defiantly, the Mayo right half back, but Mayo have spilled possession. Enda Kenny to Ger Heenan. Shine is roaring for it. Heenan takes on the shot. Back to Shine. He's gone for it, and Hennelly somehow grabs it on the crossbar and wins his free. High drama in the closing minutes. Shine backed himself, and it dropped just short.
Dropped just short, had to force it a little bit because of the wind, and a magnificent catch above the crossbar by Robert Hennelly. Will that be the match-saving or the match-winning catch? Because it hasn't truly been a great Connacht final, but people might remember it for that catch alone.
Brilliantly done by Robert Hennelly, who of course was in the headlines after the semi-final win over Galway for 45s that he scored and missed, as Andy Moran goes for a score at the other end, and it's crept over. Mayo go 2 points in front as we enter stoppage time. A glorious chance at one end for Roscommon, and it was Pather Gardner, the man who kicked the winner 2 years ago against Galway, who's popped up again.
Unbelievable. Patrick Gardner, he's done that so many times for Mayo.
So Mayo go 2 points in front. We've played 40 seconds almost of stoppage time. And Paul Early, as good a time as any perhaps for you to give us your selection for man of the match. Once this move comes to an end, Michael Finneran stopped in his tracks. Paul, your selection for man of the match from the 113th Connacht final.
Well, I think there was only really one contender at the end, the way Mayo came back in the second half. Everything went through Cillian O'Connor in the full forward line. He won a lot of frees, took the responsibility of kicking some tremendous frees, and he alone in the second half in the Mayo forward line, with support from Andy Dillon and Andy Moran as well, is a deserving man of the match in his very, very first Connacht final.
So Cillian O'Connor is Paul's selection for man of the match as Carl Craig comes driving through. Roscommon once more patiently probing and building. They've got a free. And there is Cillian O'Connor, 8 points from frees in his first Connacht senior final, and a day he will never forget. And Roscommon are within minutes of surrendering the Nestor Cup. But there's still time. Donie Shine will surely tap this over the bar, and then it will be one big push. Andy Moran becomes the 10th player to be booked, and we'll get the grandstand finish we were hoping for. 1 minute of additional time at least remaining, and nobody but nobody in this crowd of 25,500 people leaving Hyde Park. They're soaked to the skin. They've been rain lashed for the last 2 or 3 hours. But this is what they came to see.
Well, it's an amazing statistic, isn't it? The last 5 Connacht finals have been won by 1 point, and if it stays the way it is, we'll have a 6th in a row, which is an extraordinary statistic. Shows how close the teams in Connacht really are, even though the quality today, mainly because of the bad conditions, isn't as good as we would like. But for endeavour and wholehearted determination and all of that, you've got to give credit to both sides.
Well, the last 4 meetings of these teams in Championship have all been won by Mayo. They're ahead by the minimum with the finish line in sight. But Roscommon will play to the bitter end. Cillian O'Connor, Paul Early's selection for man of the match. Back to Enda Varley. This would be the insurance score. Varley, he's made it. Enda Varley from Gary Moore, a club that have produced so many county footballers down through the years. He held his nerve, he held his composure, and he drilled it over the bar. It's all over. Mayo have came, saw and conquered, and they are Connacht champions for the 42nd time. Roscommon have surrendered their title on home ground after a rare old battle. It was the 55th meeting of these teams in Championship, and it was as close as any that have come before. James Horan, Mayo's new manager, congratulated on his team's success. Mayo now set sail for the All-Ireland quarter-finals. Roscommon, well, they head for the All-Ireland qualifiers. What a game, what a finish. It's ended. Mayo 13 points, Roscommon 11.
And this young man has brought Mayo to the victory in the Connacht final. We will have analysis after this.
SuperValu, proud sponsors, real supporters of the GAA Football All-Ireland Championship.
That calls for a Carlsberg.
Aircom and the GAA. Experience more.
So, Jensen, what's on your mind?
Racing. Spacing. Wow, it's bracing.
A cup of tea would be amazing.
Lions.
Rubber.
Stuff that works. Winning! Pit stops. Little perks. Whatever's on my mind with the world's #1 anti-dandruff shampoo, it's not dandruff.
Head and Shoulders, making heads happier.
His royal purpleness is coming. Prince, performing his greatest hits on Saturday, July 30th, Malahide Castle in Dublin. Prince, incredible, mesmerizing and electrifying. The greatest showman and musician on earth. Prince, a standing and seated outdoor show at Malahide Castle, subject to license. Tickets from $89.50 on sale now from usual outlets.
For relief from daily fatigue, discover the Pharmaton effect and restore your energy levels to get the most out of your day, both physically and mentally. Because Pharmaton is more than just a multivitamin, it gives you the unique ginseng extract G115, in addition to 11 vitamins and 6 essential minerals. Get back to your level of physical and mental energy with clinically proven Pharmaton capsules.
If you haven't seen Bridesmaids yet,
You are missing out!
grab your friends and get ready to party.
I'm not even confident of which end that came out of.
Bridesmaids, in cinemas now.
The perfect hot wire getaway. Shop till you drop. Relax by the pool at a 4-star hotel for a 2-star price from hotwire.com. When hotels have unsold rooms, they use Hotwire to fill them, so you get them at incredible prices, backed by our low price guarantee. Like 4 stars in London. Our standard rate, $149. Hotwire hot rate, just €88. Hotwire.com. 4-star hotels, 2-star prices.
HOTWIRE, hotwire.com.
Fruit. So smooth, it goes with everything.
Mags, there's a few issues with the customers.
Well, I should hope so.
You were over-insuring some, overcharging the rest, and pricing young drivers out of the market. Brilliant! That's why I'm so proud to give you the Employee of the Month award.
Oh, with the hockey! It was the training.
Brilliant!
No nonsense, Dottie! Low-cost car insurance. Get the cover you really need for less.
The same hoarse voices, the same clenched fists, the same words uttered that some sitters missed. The same heads shaken, the same moments replayed, the same excuses given for daft predictions made. The same soaring highs, the same crashing lows, the same oh yeses, the same oh noes. The same old characters, the same place in the stands, the same mad passions. We're the same, we're fans. Championship every Monday in the Irish Examiner.
Sign up for free to get daily deals in your town. livingsocial.com.
Come on, lads. The club needs the money.
Less talking, more scrubbing.
Ulster Bank GAA Force, helping your club matters.
Welcome back to Hyde Park in Roscommon, and just have a look at the facts here as Roscommon lose their title to Mayo by 2 points, despite having more possession over the entire game, 53% as against 47. But the key figures, I suppose, they only scored 11 times out of 24 efforts, as against a slightly better ratio of Mayo, getting the 13 scores out of 23 attempts, which means that Mayo win by 2 points against Roscommon. We might see some of the scores now coming through on the strike zones. And we'll just have a look first at the Roscommon team. which scored 11 points, but only scored 2 points in the second half, which was probably the major issue for them, and so dependent on Donie Shine. 8 points, but perhaps he could have scored a little bit more, which is something we will talk about at the moment. No contribution in the scoring from the substitutes. Let's have a look at Mayo, though, who did use their bench particularly well during the game. And we have a look at the scores, all coming from the forward line. And again, Cillian O'Connor, the star man, the man of the match, in the corner with 8 points. But also, before the game, Peter said, look at what may come off the bench. And the very late winning insurance points did indeed come from the substitutes. So there we have it. It's a wind-swept and rain-swept Dr. Hyde Park. Let's see the presentation of the trophy to the Mayo captain, Alan Dillon, who I'm sure won't be complaining in any way about the weather or the style of the performance. They have won Connacht, regained the title, have come here to Dr. Hyde Park, which was always going to be very difficult. And I'm sure Taoiseach Kenny is watching it somewhere on a television, having been unable to get here today to see his native county inflict further misery on Roscommon. So, let's talk about this performance. And we wondered at half-time, Peter, had Roscommon scored enough in the first half, but do we think that they would score so little in the second?
No, we didn't, and they did have a few chances. But I think they lost the game in the first half because they had ample possession. And we were talking here about the amount of times they come up the right wing, having the ball in good positions, and they turned it over. They were too easily pushed out over the sideline, or they ran into trouble. So when they look back and reflect on it, it'll be the first half was very costly. And
yet they could have snatched it near the death. There were some very dramatic moments near the end of a poor game, and particularly Donie Shine will have a lot to rue.
Yeah, now, in fairness to him, there's people at home when they're sitting watching that saying that's well within his distance to be kicking it over the bar, but he is kicking against a gale force breeze. But it's the chances that he had out of his hands that he'd be most disappointed in.
Like the big thing was, if there was no win today, it might have been a different result. But you know what, they had their chance again. But you know what, that's absolutely fantastic tackling by the backs.
And what about the catch by the goalkeeper?
You know what, I said before the game he was in take me out. I'll take him out anywhere after that. Because you know that was the difference. You know, and the small things. You know, I seen Richie Feeney coming out there and he caught the ball and a bunch of players. That men stand up. Padder Gardner stood up 2 years ago in a Connacht final against Galway, put the winning point over the bar.
And did it again today.
You know what, I said it before the game, Matt. It's experience. These guys have played at a higher level. They're not going to win on Ireland. Roscommon won't win on Ireland, but you know what? They were good enough for Connacht, and I said it beforehand.
They were two very gutsy teams, and you'd have to agree with David. I mean, they were just about deserving winners because, you know, they really fought long and hard. I must say, you know, Roscommon, if they had won it, you know, you'd say, you'd probably be saying just about deserved it, but you have to look back at Donie Shine. I mean,
Liam, there was a moment where he could have got a goal, and it should be coming up on the screen for us now.
He missed 2 scoreable frees in the first half, so Donie Shine, even though he went 8 points to 8 points with Cillian O'Connor in the battle of the hot shots, you know, he actually did miss. This was at a time when I think there was 1 point in it, and a goal really at that stage would have made Mayo, you know, really feel they were an uphill task, because he just got the ball, turned beautifully, but you know what, he just slightly off balance. He needed to keep that low. If he got that on target anywhere, it was in the back of the net.
I think that was the winning of the match if he had scored that. And when he looks back, Kilbride, when he's actually shooting there, I don't think it was meant to be a pass. But when Donie reflects on that, he'll be saying, why did I not turn back my right foot? Because the defender had already committed himself, and he would have had an easier shot at goal.
But Liam, we expected before the game more out of the Roscommon full forward line. They left it all to Donie Shine, didn't they? Rather than blaming him for something that went wrong.
They left too much to him, and also I thought that they were guilty of almost trying to, you know, bring the ball the whole length of the field to sort of gift it to Donie Shine. Even in that second half, you know, once they got the ball up to the midfield, the 45-metre line, they should have let more ball into him, because he was one-on-one with the full back. You know, he was going to win some of those kicks if they went into him.
We said it at half-time. Roscommon had twice as many hand passes nearly as Mayo, and they had the wind. You know, in all fairness, they let it in when they had the opportunity. You know, but a big point today was the Mayo half-back line. You know, they tackled, they didn't foul, they got in under breaks, the midfield weren't winning clean ball. They were absolutely fantastic.
And Alan Dillon too. I mean, Alan Dillon really came through and showed true leadership when they really wanted him to do that. He really captain's part.
But is it then down to the first half performance, keeping the score down?
Yeah, well, I agree with the boys that there's very little between the two teams. Mayo 23 shots and they scored 13 times. Roscommon had 24 shots and they scored 11. Both teams lacked a bit of creativity going forward, and James Horn will be wondering, how did we win this game? Their midfield were outplayed for long patches of play. Roscommon dominated certain areas. on their full forward line. Every time the ball was kicked in, the ball was coming straight back out again. So that so many players who played poorly, yet they still won it.
Freeman Doherty didn't have one of their better days, but Paddy Gardner coming on and Ender Valley coming on made a big difference.
Well, we will be discussing the Connacht final more later in the programme, and we will have interviews with the managers and also with the winning captain. But there's still another final to come here on 3, with both sides hoping to turn back time.
Experience more. Aircon, proud sponsor of the GAA Football Championship.
Coors Light, Rocky Mountain Refreshment.
Have your Facebook or Bebo and your broadband speed's too slow? You better get WiMAX and see it's the best technology you need to get. WiMAX are coming across the nation. Imagine WiMAX, the new sensation. WiMAX, next generation, faster, better, cheaper, no line rental fee. For more information, see imagine.ie.
Sign up today and get WiMAX phone and broadband half price for the first 3 months at imagine.ie. That's imagine.ie.
It's the night, just different. Be inspired by whatever. Whatever leads the way, changes direction. Whatever surprises, thrills, sparks. Whatever's magnetic. Whatever is just the beginning. Whatever, it's your turn. Hugo Just Different, a new fragrance.
Now is a great time to get Sky TV with a free Sky Plus box and free setup when you join. Sky has something for everyone, from the latest series to documentaries or kids shows, plus the incredible Sky Atlantic channel. And set your Sky Plus box to record these amazing shows using the Sky Plus app on your smartphone or online from your PC. Join Sky before the 18th of July and get your free Sky Plus box and free setup. We'll also freeze your Sky TV price until 2013. Call us in Cork on 0818 71 6000. Sky. Believe in better.
Now your best accessory can be your smile. Introducing Colgate Max White 1 toothpaste with whitening accelerators. It could get your teeth 1 shade whiter in just 1 week. So now you can look fabulous without even trying. Colgate Max White 1. 1 week to whiter teeth.
Harry Potter, the boy who lived, come to die.
I can destroy him once and for all.
Only I can live forever.
We can end this.
Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 in cinemas now.
Grow your space with slide robes, beautifully made to measure storage. With a free designer home visit, a huge range of finishes, great space-saving ideas and guaranteed for 10 years. For a limited time only, spread the cost over 3 years, interest-free. 0% APR